What I'm interested in is leadership that's decent, and above all, that's interested in serving the people it leads. Good parents are good parents, not because they have esoteric knowledge, but because they love their children. And that's true of all forms of leadership, in the office, in the military, and in the government. And if your leaders don't love you, in fact, if they hate you, they're going to be rotten leaders. And I feel that the difference between the two parties on that foundational question is zero. Like, these people do not care about my family at all. You know, the whole system is founded on secrecy. If they can't answer a straightforward question, then there's deception and wrongdoing at the heart of it. Well, the entire federal government is based on that. They won't answer any straightforward question about anything. We can't get an audit of our gold reserves. You can't get it. You can't get the 9/11 documents 25 years later. You can't get the Kennedy assassination documents 63 years later. It's been revealed by Trump inadvertently through his own behavior. The upside of Trump's total betrayal of his own voters was to show us what the system really is. And the system is not sustainable. I mean, I want to vote our way out of this. I think we have to try really hard to vote our way out of this, because the next step is to shoot our way out of this. And I have seen that, and I don't want that here.
Decentralize, got to realize, don't decarbonize. Decentralize, decentralize.
Welcome to today's episode here on Decentralized TV. I'm Mike Adams, and I'm joined by my co-host, Todd Pittner, who, Todd, we have an amazing show today, but welcome, Todd. It's always great to see you.
Thank you. Yes, our guest today is going to be quite the surprise, and we've been waiting for a long time for it, so really excited to get going, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. No hesitation. Let's just bring in our guest, and of course, you and I are fans, and I think most of our audience is a fan of Tucker Carlson. Welcome, Tucker. It's great to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and it's especially an honor because we see you as a principled person, and the job that you do as a journalist, an investigator, and a rational thinker, I think, provides a great service to this country. So thank you again, right back at you.
Well, thank you. I don't know. I can be pretty irrational. I've been more irrational than usual recently, but thank you.
Yeah. Well, it seems like we've all been thrust into some kind of situation like that with what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start, and although feel free to take this in any direction you want, Tucker, but I wanted to start with this concept that we live under an American empire that believes it can rule the world's currency through weaponization of the dollar and the SWIFT system. And I'd love your comments on this fact that when Trump says things like to Iran, hey, we're going to give you back some of the billions that we took from you, but not in dollars. We're going to give it back to you in soybeans, let's say, because we're going to force you to spend it on U.S. agricultural output. What, in your opinion, Tucker, what does that say to the world about the trust factor of the U.S. dollar and the Western financial system?
Well, I think the misconception is even deeper. I mean, I agree with everything you said, but I think the misconception is even deeper. And I think there is a widespread belief, it's a matter of faith, really, that you can rule by force, which is impossible. Leaving aside the moral consideration, should you try and rule by force, you can't rule by force. You can't rule your household by force as a father. You can't rule your marriage by force as a husband. You can't rule your country by force, and you can't rule the world by force. You need some force, a credible threat of it, maybe. But really, you rule by consent, and that's true in every country at all times. There is no absolute dictator. There never has been. You know, the most bloodthirsty monarch still has a constituency that may consist of his wife and his siblings, but he still has a constituency. And every decision is made in reference to not just his wishes, but theirs also. It was true of Stalin and Mao and Hitler, and all these people were told they're just megalomaniacs ruling alone. No. People rule by consent. It's the nature of life. It's the nature of man. So the idea that you could run a global empire at the point of a gun or a billion-dollar aircraft carrier is just like insane. It's a misunderstanding of reality. And I think it's coming to its end.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you think the U.S. is losing the consent of the other nations today versus?
Of course. Needless to say, of course. I mean, and I think it's been happening for a long time. In my mind, the steep slide began the day Biden kicked Russia out of SWIFT. And that was the moment it was very clear to me. And I said this, I worked at a TV network at the time. And I said it that night. I remember writing the script that this is the beginning of the end of the US dollar, of dollar hegemony. Because the second, people use dollars because they're the most widely available currency, the most stable currency, all the reasons. But ultimately, they use dollars because they want to. They're choosing to do it.
Right.
We don't have the resources or the manpower to stick a gun in the face of every person on the planet buying or selling something and require them to use dollars. We rely on their consent, their voluntary willingness to do this. And the second that they perceive that the downside outweighs the upside, they're out. And it may take a while for them to actually get out, but they're out. And so that was very obvious to me. Not because I'm an expert in monetary policy or even global affairs, but because I'm interested in people and how they behave. And I just knew that that was going to happen. And I said it, and I remember vividly the response I got, which was threats from my own employer. You're way over your skis, from all the smart people. That's not true. We're never, the dollar will always be the reserve currency. And it's like, you're so stupid. I didn't even know. That's what I thought.
Right.
Not to be arrogant, but it was just such an obvious observation.
Yes.
If you weaponize the US dollar, you will compel some people to use it for some period of time, but people who have an option are going to find one.
Yeah.
Of course.
Even the Islamic Republic of Japan will eventually have an issue with this. Right? So, Todd.
Oh, that's so good. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm repeating that in my mind so I could steal it. That is so good. Thank you.
Yeah. Todd.
So Tucker, I just have to give a quick shout out. My favorite interview by anyone of anyone was your recent interview of Big Bear Owen Benjamin. And I just want to say thank you for that. That was just amazing. And during that interview, we are decentralized TV here, Mike and I are. During that interview, it became evident that you've personally dedicated your life's next chapter to decentralization by systematically removing dependencies from your life, from legacy media, from establishment narratives, from traditional political tribes, even from how wealth is stored. So, Tucker, have you concluded that the real divide within this realm is centralized power versus human sovereignty, Tucker?
Of course it is. And let me just say that wasn't an interview of Owen Benjamin. It was Owen Benjamin riffing and me just enjoying it.
Yeah, it was so awesome.
He's an amazing person. And of course, he was the first deplatformed person. By the way, it's a man without hate. A man who makes no claim on anybody else, whose message is totally uplifting and God-centered and beautiful. And of course, he's the one, there are actual haters out there on the internet and they're never deplatformed. In fact, they're encouraged because dividing the population is key to controlling it. Right. So of course they hate Owen Benjamin. The second thing I would say is I have not eliminated dependence. I've transferred it from institutions and people who don't care about me or share my values to like my wife and my children,
right,
and the godparents of my kids and my college roommates and the people I love and trust. We're all dependent. There is, we're all interdependent just by our nature, right? Sure. You can't, you need other people. That's why solitary confinement is a punishment. The question is, who are you dependent on? And I just learned this lesson really young because I went into television really young in my 20s, and I saw people destroyed because they came to really value and then yearn for and then become addicted to the approval of people they'd never met, the audience, the strangers out there. And I just thought that's a crazy thing to do. Why would you give emotional control over to someone who doesn't love you? And so I began the process then just internally of caring a lot less what strangers thought and a lot more what the people close to me thought. Beautiful. And it's gotten to a point where I care much more about my wife's opinion on things. She rarely proffers it, actually. She's not an opinionated person. But if she has an opinion, I really listen to it because I trust her. And I know that she loves me. And I know for a dead certain fact that the people in charge of her society not only don't care about me, but actively hate me. So I put no stock in their views at all, except to the extent I can't avoid it, like in the law, right? But what I didn't understand until later in life, and I learned the hard way, was the degree to which we're controlled by debt. And I just, I'm a product of this country. I'm 57. I grew up, in a boom time in America where nobody ever questioned the fact that like having a good credit score was important. No one even asked like, why would that be important? Because borrowing is the most important fact of our economic lives. And it was only when I got a little bit older, it was after the '08 financial crisis when I got fired from my job, and I thought a lot of money. I thought it was a lot of money, but I had 4 kids in private school, big mortgage, and all of a sudden I like had no money.
Yeah.
And the reason I had no money was because I was in debt on my house. I'd never had credit card debt or anything like that, but I had a big mortgage. And I just thought the first thing I'm going to do if I ever make any money again, if I ever rebuild my life, is I'm going to get out of all debt because it's like the thing that advisors tell you to do. You pay, as you know better than I, a tax penalty for not being in debt. You're literally incentivized, you are penalized rather for not borrowing from the bank to own your home. But anyway, whatever, I did it anyway. And the transformation that took place inside me once I did that was unbelievable. It was incredible. I just felt unencumbered. I felt free to tell the truth. And by the way, I thought I was free to tell the truth before I did it. And I didn't even realize how controlled I was. I didn't understand that I was enslaved. I really didn't. If you'd asked me, at 35, are you free to say what you think? I would have given you a long lecture about my own sovereignty and I can say whatever I want. But I was lying to myself and I didn't even know that I was. That was a transformative experience.
Isn't it interesting that when you make that decision to get out of debt, there's one camp, I remember pre-2008, it's like we leveraged everything. It was like 5% down, and then you just get this, because it's the tree's gonna grow to the sky, right? But then once you go through a decade of depression because 2008 happened and you had to claw your way back, I'm raising my hand here, then my calculus changed to getting, like you just said, completely out of debt. And some may assess that and say that's really bad financial strategy. But then my wife reminded me of something, and she's like, Todd, what is your investment in your peace of mind? And when she said that, it just stopped me. And I was like, you're right. Because when you get completely out of debt, man, welcome to freedom.
Well, gentlemen,
your wife said that? You should marry her again.
I know.
That's a good wife who can say something like that.
His wife's from Russia, by the way.
Yes.
So now it makes sense. Yeah.
They know what's up. Yes.
Right. And my wife is from Taiwan, by the way. Yes. So we have very international, but both of you gentlemen obviously missed out on the $1 billion Zimbabwe note that could have solved all your problems. So
I have one in my desk drawer to remind me.
Right. But along those lines, Tucker, we were told, and by the way, here's a $10 trillion Zimbabwe note. And this is, quote, real currency. Like this was issued by the government as actual, money. But obviously we can see today that it's almost worthless. And my question to you is, with all the experts that you interview, and it's amazing to be in your position to be able to gather the knowledge from so many brilliant minds and great economists, and to understand the great arcs of history through the people that you interview. What is your take, your best understanding right now of this, of the dollar stack? Here's a $10,000 stack of $100 bills. It's Hollywood money, by the way. It's not real, but is it real anyway? You know what I mean? Even if it were real, is it real? What's your take?
I mean, I can still buy a hamburger with it. It only takes like 40 of them to do it.
5 guys.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's, the trend is really, really clear and really clear. And in monetary policy, as in politics, the trend is what matters. Where's this going? And it's super obvious where it's going. It always was going there, though. I mean, it was never not going there. And I do think it's not just, and by the way, I'm so grateful to be American. I've always loved this country. I still do. So it makes me sad. I'm not rooting against the dollar. I'm not rooting against the US government, which I despise, but I'm still not rooting against them. But I want them to be good. I want the dollar to be real. I want the government to care about the population. I want all these things. And I haven't given up exactly, but I wouldn't want to be dependent on the dollar. And I notice, and I'm not an expert on financial matters, though, if I can just brag for 1 second, the decisions that I have made, which have all been very low grade, decisions. I have a peasant mentality about this stuff. They've all paid off, actually. They've all paid off. Just like simple stuff like no debt, keep some substantial percentage in gold, control the physical gold yourself, buy property, keep an eye on what the tax rate on the property tax rate is. Like, don't buy a lot of property with super high tax, just stuff like that, which I have done for for decades. I'm not rich, but I'm happier than most people I know who are rich because I actually kind of own the things I own.
Love that.
And that's enough for me. And also, I just can't resist saying this. It is important to keep your appetites under control. Like, greed is bad. If you think buying crap is going to make you happy, you're wrong. So
That's right.
The way I approach it is, it's just true. I mean, I have been richer than I am now, and I've been a lot poorer than I am now. And like, it doesn't make you happy to buy stuff you don't need. Certain things do make you happy. Buy those. Places where the family can gather, rural land that's beautiful. It's just inherently pleasing, I think. Anyway, that kind of stuff, like buy the right things, want the right things. There are certain purchases I see people, I've known people really well personally who've just blown up their financial lives because they bought crap. It's like, why'd you buy that in the first place? I'm not judging, like I've made very bad decisions in my life, but I've never bought crap.
Right.
I've really tried to buy things. If I'm going to spend money, you buy a fishing camp in the woods on a river that's beautiful. It's like, how is that ever a bad idea? It's never a bad idea. Cost you $600 in taxes. There's no electricity. Who cares? I don't like electricity anyway. I've never gone there where I wasn't happy. Do you know what I mean? So like, that's how I structured my whole life like that. And again, I'm not going to be a billionaire. I'm not even going to be anywhere near a billionaire ever, but I don't want to be. Why would you want to be? Anyway, that's the other thing. Like I know a lot of billionaires because I've lived in that world a lot, and they're all crazy. Their wives are super unhappy with them. Some of them are sleeping with their SoulCycle instructors. It's just a sad world. Everyone's on benzos. Like, how is that a win? That's not a win. That's a loss.
No,
Tucker,
right?
one of my favorite lines is, happiness is wanting what you have. When you really meditate on that, right? Question, you launched Battalion Metals after exposing abuses in the gold industry. I think precious metals are supposed to protect you from thieves, not introduce you to better dressed ones. What did you discover that pissed you off enough to make you enter the business yourself?
It wasn't the fact that it was corruption, which is all around us. It's just omnipresent. It was the betrayal of it. So I worked in cable news most of my life. One of our, mainstay sponsors were gold companies. I've always been pro gold. I've always been not anti-technology exactly, but suspicious that technology was all good. Technology, it's a tool, right? I have a lot of chainsaws. They're great. I love chainsaws. They can really hurt you. So that's always been my view of technology. Like, there's a downside, and anyone pretending there's not a downside is lying to me. So digitizing our financial system, like, I definitely see the upsides. I order ammo online while I'm on an airplane. Great. But there've got to be downsides. So I always liked gold because, for the obvious reasons, it's not abstract, it's physical. It's right here. So I always paid attention to the gold stuff. And I bought my gold from a broker in Dallas who was just like a solo practitioner who bought it wholesale, and there was like a 3% markup, and that always made sense to me.
Yeah.
Once I left Fox, but I was never against gold, Rosalind Capital and all this stuff. I was like, oh yeah, that, sounds good to me. Buy gold, right? Our people buy gold. Reality-based people buy gold. I've always thought that my whole life. I leave Fox, or I got fired from Fox in April of 2020, whatever it was, 3. And I get a call from a couple different gold companies, and they're like, we want you to be our spokesman. Great. I love it. Anyway, went back and forth for about a week, and one of them's like, we'll pay you $10 million a year to be a spokesman. I was like, really? First of all, awesome. Because I have no job, and I have all these employees who got fired with me and left with me. I've got to make this big payroll. I got to pay 40 people. I don't know how I'm going to do that. $10 million. And then I was like, wait, gold is a commodity, actually. The price is not set by Rosalind Capital. It's set on an international market. How are you making enough to pay one spokesman $10 million?
Right.
So I called my gold broker in Texas, and I'm like, what is this? And she's really smart. And she's like, oh yeah, well, they're selling for like 50% over spot. I was like, what? How? How do you, well, with these commemorative coins? I was like, well, that's a scam. She's like, yeah, you think? I was so mad because, I mean, I have total contempt for Fox News, of course. I think it's one of the most poisonous forces in American life. But I really like Fox viewers, and I always have.
Right.
And they're like people who live near me, and they're like sweet people and older people, and they believe in America, and they can quote the Constitution, and they buy gold because they're like solid conservative people in the truest sense of conservative. They're the ones getting scammed. It's not some, fast talking crypto guy who's getting scammed. Like, I'm not shedding too many tears for that guy. But if there's like some fixed income couple watching Fox and buying gold because they think it's safe, and it turns out their gold IRA is just a scam, it's like, that enraged me. That enraged me. The betrayal of the sweetest people in America by sharks. I was just like, that is so immoral. So I started calling around. It turns out like half of the people who were signed up with these gold scams are people I knew, because it's all people from cable television, right-wing cable television.
That's right.
So I called, one of them is a really good friend of mine, and I called her up. I'm not going to name names, but she's got a very widely known podcast. It's probably the biggest in the world. And I was like, did you know this? And she's like, no. And it was Candace Owens. I'll just tell you that.
Sure.
She's like, what? And she dropped the company when she found out, which, people hate Candace Owens or love Candace Owens, but that's just a fact. When Candace Owens understood what this company was doing, that was her sponsor. I don't know what they were paying her, but I'm sure millions.
Yeah.
She literally dropped them. And I was like, that's actually what integrity looks like. Everyone, again, tons of people hate Candace Owens. Tons of people love Candace Owens. But whatever you think of her, turn down a couple $1 million a year on principle. Who does that? Well, she did it. But, most people didn't. Sean Hannity didn't do that at all. Mark Levin didn't do that. Glenn Beck didn't do that. And they all should have. Yeah. And so I was just so offended by the whole thing. So I'm in business with my college roommate. Back to my point about, I just want to be around people I love and trust and have known my whole life. And he's really smart. And so we're like, let's start a gold company. Or, we can't start a gold company because I don't have relationships with mints around the world. We need a huge inventory, because if you don't, you can go bankrupt like Rosalind did the other day. But let's start a company that sells for 3 points over spot. And that's a volume business. And we're probably not going to become billionaires at all. But and honestly, if I'm being totally blunt about it, my main motive was not just to improve the world, but I wanted my share in gold. And I said that when we did our partnership, because I was like, what a cool way, because it is hard to buy gold because you're taking the cash offline, and then you take it and you hold it or bury it or whatever you do with it. But then you have to convert it back. And it's like, so sometimes you're not motivated to buy gold. You're like, well, I could buy gold, or I could buy, something that's right in front of me. And I thought, what a neat way for me to buy gold. It's just like, hey, if there are any profits, send me mine in coins.
Love it.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
Which we're doing.
Tucker, I got to add, I'm so thrilled when I found out that you were the partner, you're the co-founder of Battalion Metals, because I've been working with Chris Olson and his family for many years. And,
actually?
And for many years. And
he's an amazing man.
Before Battalion Metals.
Amazing man.
I told him, I'm going to go ahead and share this publicly. I'll share it with you. But I was approached, I guess it was 2.5, 3 years ago, by one of the companies that you have since exposed. And that company offered me $100,000 a month to promote their scam. And of course I conducted a lot of due diligence, and I immediately found out, holy cow, they're marking it up 40%, 50% over spot. I absolutely cannot do that. I said no. I have stuck with Chris Olson and now with Battalion Metals with you because you are principled. You did the due diligence. You did the research. I know from behind the scenes, you would never partner with somebody that was not on the up and up. And so I really admire that about you, and I'm thrilled.
Because I don't need to. I mean, honestly, I am in a privileged position, not because I inherited millions of dollars, contrary to popular belief, but because my kids are grown. And so I'm done. Like, I don't have really any expenses. I live in pretty relatively, I wish we didn't have all this lunacy in the world, or I would show you video of my house and you'd be like, wow, you do live small. Because I really do, for real. I'm not just saying that. So I'm not under massive financial pressure at all. Yeah. And I don't really want to buy anything. So that gives you the freedom to make clear-headed decisions. Where if
Absolutely.
I had 4 kids in private school, I just want to be honest and not like hold myself up as some super virtuous person. It's like I have the privilege to not be greedy because I just don't need the money as badly as I once did. I will say Chris Olson is one of the most amazing people I have ever met in my whole life. In
Absolutely.
fact, we're at an employee wedding 2 weeks ago in San Francisco, and Chris Olson came, and we're sitting at the table. He gets up to go to the bathroom, and someone else who works for me goes, "That's the most amazing person I've ever met."
Wow.
It's like Chris Olson is like the most principled, thoughtful, kind of otherworldly. Like I've never met anyone who's so intentional about every single decision he makes for himself and his family.
Wow.
That guy makes me feel as shallow as a coffee stain. Like I feel like I try to be deeper and like thoughtful. That guy makes me feel like a pop star in my shallowness. He's so deep. Oh my God.
Yeah, and he's there at all the right places. Last summer, I was invited to the Ron Paul birthday party in South Texas. I'm walking in, there's Chris Olson. It's like, dude, of
can't
course
miss
you're at the
him.
Ron Paul birthday party, of course. And then
He's like 6'9" with a braided beard.
Right.
It's like, yeah, there are not a lot of Chris Olsons wandering around. Yeah.
that's right. And he's like, Mike, what are you doing here? I'm like, hey, I came to hear Ron Paul speak, and Tulsi Gabbard's coming to speak too, and which was also fun to get to hear her speak. But anyway, this show is sponsored by Battalion Metals, probably not surprising to our audience. And let me mention our affiliate link for our audience. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but if you go through metalswithmike.com, it takes you to Battalion Metals. And if you use the discount code RANGER, we get a little bit of credit. It's not much, as Tucker said. We're not going to get rich because there are hardly any markups, but they will waive the shipping insurance fee if you take custody, which is something you should strongly consider, I believe. Now, Tucker, I've got 2 silver coins here, and people fret over the dollar denomination price of gold and silver. Oh, it's going up in dollars, it's going down in dollars, and people are frantic. And I always say to people, but look, you still have the same number of ounces. The ounces did not disappear. And it still has the same utility. It's still the same element from the table of elements. This has physical properties that are immutable across all time and space, the cosmos. You know, this was put here by our creator. Believe me, it's not going away anytime soon. So what would you say to people who panic about thinking about the dollar pricing of metals all day long?
I would say that speculating in metals or anything else is for professionals, and maybe not even for them. Maybe unwise. I think it's the way you approach it. So I don't check the spot price. I mean, I do. It's 41 right now. But anyway, no, 40, I mean, I do.
Wait, silver?
40 gold.
60? Oh, 4,100? Okay.
Yeah,
I was like, did it drop? No.
But I just think speculating is a specialty business. You know, it's for people who know what they're doing. Most of us, I've never made any money doing anything like that. I made money from my job, but just go to work and get paid. Like I'm a simple man that way. I think like most people, I have the least complicated financial life of anyone you've ever met. Gold and silver are, I hate the word hedges, but they're kind of the ballast in the ship.
Yes.
Like from my perspective, it's not simply about how does the US dollar do, or even how does the US economy do? There are other deeper questions of control and autonomy and sovereignty that get right to physical gold. So ultimately, gold is hard to control, okay? It's a medium of exchange that has existed from the beginning of time, and I'm willing to bet will always exist, and it can't be tracked, and its location can't be known, actually, and it's just not, and I'm not here to attack Bitcoin or the ledger or anything like that, but it's kind of the opposite of what I'm looking for in my life. And I see the utility of all of that stuff, the blockchain and all that. Again, I'm not attacking it. I'm saying that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for freedom, for personal liberty, which is predicated on privacy. There is no freedom without privacy, period. Right. And this is obvious. So if privacy goes away, by definition, so does freedom. And so how do you retain a little bit of privacy? Well, you know, you want assets that are yours to know about and everyone else's to guess about, right? There's the privacy element is a really big thing for me. Mm-hmm. And then there is the kind of prepper mindset, which is not a crazy mindset at all. I mean, you could go crazy with it. You could live in a bunker, I guess. I don't. But doesn't mean you shouldn't have a bunker, or it doesn't mean you shouldn't think through what would happen worst case. And I, because of my job, have been several times, more than a couple times, in places where there is worst case going on. Mm-hmm. And the people who've thought it through a little bit ahead of time do pretty well. And the people who haven't don't. That's just a fact. That's a fact of life. And by the way, I saw it happen in this country during Katrina, and I've seen it in a number of other countries. So I've always thought like that. Like, why wouldn't you have X, Y, and Z just in case? Is there a massive downside? If I convert some percentage of my assets into metals, like, tell me why that's bad? Because I'm not paying interest on it to some other third party? That's why it's bad. That's why they hate it.
Yeah.
Because there's no fee involved. But I don't really, I'm not living here to pay you fees. My concern is my family.
Yep.
And so having substantial metals, having, 3 or 4 pallets of 223 rounds and some water purifying tablets and food, like, why wouldn't you do that? Well, what's the argument against that? And whenever you say that, people are like, oh, you're crazy. Really? You've lived in this country without traveling anywhere interesting. Okay, you went to Florence, great. But have you actually been around to other countries? Have you been in countries in crisis? Probably not. Like, that's not crazy. No one will ever convince me that it's crazy. I have a lot of daughters, and not just daughters, but I have a number of daughters. And the more daughters you have, the more kind of feedback you get. And over the years, they have mentioned this is a little crazy. And I've sternly responded, not if you're in charge, it's not. Not if it's your moral obligation to make sure everyone else is okay. It's not crazy at all. And that always ends the conversation. And I feel gratitude from that.
Preparedness looks weird until weird people are the only ones with batteries, guys.
Exactly.
So Tucker, I want to talk about the third-party bombshell. And our two-party system, I think, feels like choosing between food poisoning and a concussion. And I refer to myself as politically homeless. As a matter of fact, the past 3 elections, I literally wrote in Jesus Christ, since I think he's the only one who can fix this shit show. And right. Tucker, I know I'm not alone. Is the new political center simply everyone who checks prices before buying eggs?
I think there's a lot of truth in that. And there's a lot of truth in that. And it's I just feel in myself, as someone who's been ideological for his whole life. I mean, I've always been fixated on, what are the right ideas. And I think principles are essential, and you live as a slave without principles. Yeah. You have to have principles and abide by them. But ideology maybe is a separate thing. It's a more evolved and more abstract version of principles, and it's not always helpful at all. What I'm interested in is leadership that's decent, and above all, that's interested in serving the people it leads. Mm-hmm. Good parents are good parents, not because they have esoteric knowledge, but because they love their children. And that's true of all forms of leadership, in the office, in the military, and in the government. And if your leaders don't love you, in fact, if they hate you, they're going to be rotten leaders. And I feel that the difference between the two parties on that foundational question is zero. I feel the same contempt from that weird, moist-palmed little guy from Louisiana who's the Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, as I do from Chuck Schumer. Like, these people do not care about my family at all.
No.
I'm in the way.
Right.
The whole system is founded on secrecy, which is a tell right there. As the father of many children, if my kids are being secretive about something, they're doing something wrong. Like, what is that? If they can't answer a straightforward question, then there's deception and wrongdoing at the heart of it. Well, the entire federal government is based on that. They won't answer any straightforward question about anything. We can't get an audit of our gold reserves, since we're speaking of metals. Like, you can't get it. You can't get the 9/11 documents 25 years later. You can't get the Kennedy assassination documents 63 years later. So this is a rotten system. It didn't, I don't think, begin as one, but who knows? I wasn't there, but I know that it's been revealed by Trump inadvertently through his own behavior. The upside of Trump's total betrayal of his own voters was to show us what the system really is. And the system is not sustainable. And so my hope, of course, as a Christian, is for a peaceful solution that unites rather than divides the country, that's nonviolent by definition, that's political, it's electoral, it's based on voting. I mean, I want to vote our way out of this. I think we have to try really hard to vote our way out of this, because the next step is to shoot our way out of this. And I have seen that, and I don't want that here. So that's just my view, really simple.
Let me mention your website, because it's a great segue to what you just said. TuckerCarlson.com, of course. I want to encourage our viewers to join the Tucker Carlson Network, because you do so many extraordinary interviews, and in many cases it's with people that I know, that I would consider friends, such as Dennis Kucinich. I consider him a great friend, and he's been on my show several times, and he's a wonderful American, and
Yes.
and it doesn't matter that there was a D next to his name, or more recently an I. The R, the D, the I, it's become meaningless. And what we are all seeking, what you just so eloquently stated, is people with principles to help us peacefully move out of this age of extreme corruption into something that serves the American people better. And I think people like Dennis Kucinich are voices of reason in a time of madness. What do you say?
I mean, I had breakfast with Dennis this week. I've known Dennis for many, many years. Actually met Dennis during one of his presidential campaigns. It was 2004, I think. And we were on the road for a year. I worked for CNN, and we were on this bus traveling the country. And we had this makeup artist on the bus, whatever, makeup before all the shows. And she was super groovy, and who knows what she was into. But she was an aura reader. And she's telling me about aura reading one night on the bus. And she goes, you know, the person with the best aura, the best vibe, the best energy I've ever touched in my life? Dennis Kucinich.
Wow.
And at the time, I was like, oh, Dennis is some like crazy liberal Democrat from Cleveland. And I saw him and I told him this story, and his reaction was just so nice and humane. I've been friends with him ever since. He is a man of profound decency.
Yes.
With almost no weird unspoken motives that I can discern. And no, I absolutely love Dennis. And he's a truth teller too. But anyway, I strongly agree with you that it doesn't matter. All this other stuff, like the degree to which we've been lied to, is shocking. And I think all three of us have gone through this moment where you're like, wait a second, none of this stuff was real. And then you move past, one hopes, that initial shock into the next stage, which is, okay, what is real? And what is real is the love between people, which is more evident than it's ever been, at least in my life. I haven't had a shallow conversation in years at this point, since COVID. Like, everyone I know is more loving to each other, more honest to each other. And I am, as much as I think the country is kind of collapsing, well, it obviously is, I feel like the population, at least people that I deal with, they're way better than they've ever been. They're more honest, right? And so that is the basis, in whatever form it takes, and I can't even guess, but that is the basis for renewal, is the honesty and the love between people, which again is more evident. As much as the corruption is more obvious than it's ever been, so is the decency.
That's a really powerful point, and it's a personal choice that each individual has to make, and that choice, as you've even mentioned here, that choice is very difficult for people because of the seduction of greed, the seduction of power, the seduction. I mean, think about so many Trump people that we supported, we really endorsed, and I'm even thinking of like good-hearted people like RFK Jr., who knows everything about vaccines or health or disease prevention, and he goes into HHS with the best of intentions, and even he is stonewalled by the momentum of a corrupt system working at every step to try to thwart what he would do to help Americans. We've watched this, and it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. It is absolutely heartbreaking. And, I don't understand a lot of the details, but I would just say it's absolutely, you don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to be at war with everybody. You shouldn't be. This was Netanyahu's mistake. You can't fight 7 front wars in this life. Right. Hopefully no wars, but like a 7-front war, that's your problem. It's like, if I'm going through my 7th divorce, I'm the problem. Right. So you don't have to say everything you think is true. You don't have to fight every battle, but you cannot allow yourself to be a tool of evil, and you cannot allow yourself to lie, period. And as long as you do that, and it's not that easy, but it's also a lot easier than the alternative, which is to be destroyed. by it because everyone who participates in this is going to be destroyed, is in the process of being destroyed. And for what? Like, I will say, I hate even to say this out loud, but I'll just be blunt. Like, I grew up around, in rich person world, okay? And I grew up around a lot of powerful people also. And one thing I learned when I was a kid is it's not all that, actually. It's not, rich and famous and powerful. Okay. So it's like not that great. It's not that impressive. And I think I've seen so many people come to Washington, where I spent almost my whole life, come to Washington with the aim of becoming rich and powerful and all that. And I always want to say, like, yeah, it's better to have more money, I guess, than to be poor. It's better to have some influence than to have none, I guess. But if your goal is to be rich and powerful, if you ever achieve that, you're unlikely to, but let's say you do, you're going to be so disappointed by how banal it is, by how uninteresting it is, by how unfulfilling it is. It's a candy bar. You're hungry the next minute, and
that's great.
I will just say I've known that if there's such a thing as privilege in this life, that's the privilege that I have had. Mm-hmm. And I'm way less rich than I grew up. I can tell you that. Like I am downwardly mobile in my personal life. No, it's just a fact. That's just true.
Wasn't there a country western song? I think I've got friends in low places. Yeah.
No, but it's true though. It's literally true. But I think that my real privilege was seeing some of that stuff early and realizing it's not worth killing other people or yourself to get it, because it's not.
Yeah. Well, wait, Todd, let me just interject, and then it's yours. But Tucker, I have to say how much I agree with you. Every day, I live in rural Texas, and I have my own acreage, and I have Nigerian dwarf goats and donkeys that we rescued, and I have dogs. And every day I walk around this private path around a private pond to my private kettlebell gym in the forest. I only work out outside, never inside. And I walk past these loblolly pine trees that I planted that grow the natural medicine with shikimic acid that comes from pine needles that Native Americans used to use. And I take some pine needles off the tree, I put them in my mouth, and I chew on them. And I just think, I'm the wealthiest person in the world here.
I totally agree.
And this is amazing.
I totally agree. It's funny you say that. I have a similar ritual, which is not exciting at all, but I just wake up and walk down a path actually, and light my sauna fire, and with my dogs, 6 a.m. every morning. And in the warm months when the sun is up, I'm just like, oh, thank you, God. This is like the greatest thing.
Awesome.
Yes.
I walk from my 1,700 square foot house down to my sauna. I mean, it's just not, there's nothing there really. It's like one room and a bedroom, but I just feel like the being able to experience quiet and nature and animals and trees, especially of all things trees.
Yep.
It is, oh my gosh, that's worth, I would trade 100 private jets for that.
Absolutely. Todd, go ahead.
Hey, Tucker, this is going to be a radical statement, but here we go, okay? America first. America first should occasionally involve Americans, right?
I thought it was inherent to the name. It turns out not. Yeah, that's, again, I'm grateful to Trump I'm so bitterly disappointed with Trump, obviously, who I campaigned for and with. However, I'm grateful to him for just, again, revealing this, and he did it unintentionally. Trump has this weird quality where all these latent truths rise to the surface. People's latent qualities become obvious. Like good people become better, worse people become worse, bad people become worse. And the system itself is revealed. It's just absolutely crazy. Like I've known about this stuff for many 40 years, right? Because living in DC, and I understood this and had some exposure to personal exposure to it, but I didn't really understand just how it worked until Netanyahu showed up right after the inauguration and basically just hijacked the entire US government right after the days within. I was still in Washington for the inauguration when he showed up. And I was like, I cannot believe this is happening out in the open. This is unbelievable. And I didn't think we'd actually regime change Iran, because that was just too crazy even to contemplate. But I did think there are going to be massive consequences of this. They're not hiding it anymore. I sort of knew that that's how it worked, but they did a lot to hide that until you know that's not what's actually happening. But something about Trump just made everybody brazen about what they were doing. And the corruption too. I always thought the city was kind of corrupt, a little bit corrupt, but not like African level corrupt.
Yeah.
And friends in other countries would always laugh at me. You know, people I know run other countries, they'd be like, oh yeah, America's not corrupt. It's like way more corrupt. But anyway, I never really believed that. And then under Trump, it's just like, oh yeah, we're corrupt now.
Wow.
So we should be grateful.
Is anti-war now the most dangerous position in American politics?
Always has been. Always has been. Because war is killing people is the ultimate expression of power. So if you step back and think, like, what do the people in charge actually want? Like, what's their real goal? I mean, they have a million goals, but like, what's the end goal? And the end goal is to feel powerful, to feel godlike. And there's nothing that conveys godlike power more than killing. Of course, way more than sex. I mean, the whole appeal of sex is you sort of break through yourself into the transcendent for a moment, then you eat pizza. But we're all sort of chasing that in sex, right? That moment where we break out of the day-to-day into something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And wealth, same thing. If only I just could have this, then I would be, I'd rise above where I am as a man and become something bigger than a man. But killing people, I mean, you're literally ending a life. There's no power greater than the power to kill. And so every healthy structure understands that. And that's why we have all these built-in limits on people's ability to kill other people. Not just because killing is wrong, but because killing is a basic, maybe the basic human desire, ugly human desire, sin.
Gosh, that's horrifying. But yes, true.
Right? So if anyone who's against that, in any of its manifestations of killing, because there's lots of killing that takes place, but if you're against that, oh man, they hate you more than anything, because what you're really saying is, oh no, you're not God. You don't get to do that. You didn't create life. You don't get to end it.
And you just did
telling
on
them that they're not God, boy, they hate you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You just did a piece exposing the state-sponsored death cult disguised as healthcare. I think that's about Canada and the euthanasia movement there. And so thank you for covering that, by the way. That's really important. But in the few minutes we have left, I want to bring it back to something really critical, which is oil, energy, and finance. And Tucker, I had to come up with a new game. Rock, paper, scissors. So I had to come up, because of all the paper manipulation of the oil markets, I had to come up with rock, paper, scissors, oil. And oil beats paper, it turns out. So, eventually the paper runs out and you have, either the oil is there or it isn't there. And this has ramifications for food and transportation and the costs of food and inflation, which gets us all back to finance. So I'd love your thoughts, please, even based on the experts that you've talked to, about where we are headed. Obviously, there's no peace happening in the Middle East. Oil, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is getting lower and lower by the day. At some point, these hydrocarbons become extremely scarce, even in North America, although it hasn't happened yet. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, everything reverts to nature in the end. And if you've ever been, to an abandoned town or seen a road, I live in a state where most of the roads are not paved. And so sometimes they'll stop paving a road, and it's incredible how quickly spruce trees poke through the asphalt, and then there's no hint of asphalt. Like, reality reasserts itself always. And at the root of the energy question is physical reality. How do we power all this stuff? How do we grow food? And so you can manipulate these markets. And I would, by the way, even say this of equity markets, which are, of course, way more abstract and easier, therefore, to manipulate. But even equity markets return to reality at a certain point, because everything does. That's why feminism is not a good long-term play, because it's not real. It's a fantasy. Like, oh, yeah, okay, women in battle. All right, yeah, good luck. But anyway, nothing returns quicker to nature than like the need for energy and fertilizer. So, I mean, I feel bad for Trump. I feel bad for Israel. Obviously, I'm quite angry at both, but you try to be compassionate. Both of them are speeding very quickly toward the brick wall of reality. Trump can tank the global economy. He's done grave damage to it already. Israel's about to find out that it's not a military power, actually. It's just a little ruthless espionage state, and you can't fight a billion enemies when there are only 9 million of you. And like everyone's going to get a lesson in reality really, really soon. And again, I'm not cheering that. I hate human suffering. And even when it's deserved, you know, I didn't cheer when Osama bin Laden was killed because I don't cheer suffering, period. But this is coming super, super quick. Like they're completely out of options. There's no military option left that can open the strait. Even nuking Iran will not open the strait because pirates could close the strait. You have to have a coherent central government on the north side of the Strait of Hormuz, or else it's going to be the Horn of Africa, the coast of Somalia. Like that means any person with a gunboat or mines can close the strait, because who's going to insure an oil tanker, $1 trillion oil tanker? Nobody. So anyway, in the end, Iran is a global power. Iran is a global power by the end, period. Okay, that's the upshot of this war. I'm not saying I wanted that, I didn't, but that's what we're getting, period. And Israel is gravely diminished, fine with me. And the United States is gravely diminished, not fine, but there's no, that's going to happen. So I'm sorry about that. That's why we shouldn't have done this in the first place. Well, but hopefully this will be the end of our hubris.
Trump thinks he can bomb away geography. Like, let's just bomb away the Strait of Hormuz, even though here it is on the globe. But, you know, and God put it there.
I told him that. It's not about their stupid nuclear program or their missile program. It has to do with geography. It's where they are on. There is this body of water called the Gulf, the Persian Gulf. 1/5 of the world's energy comes out of that, oil and gas. He gets all this, fertilizer, sulfur, all the precursor chemicals. He gets this. He understands like petrochemicals. He really does. There aren't enough pipelines. There's really one big pipeline through Saudi. That's it. And by the way, that's into the Red Sea, which could also be closed. So it's like they're inherently powerful, period. And you have to accept reality. If it's cold outside and you walk into a snowstorm naked, declaring it is not cold, it is warm, you will die, because your will is not bigger than nature, because you are not God.
Yes.
Like that is the framing that keeps us alive and happy. It's called balance and perspective. I am not God. I don't choose the geography of nations. I can't change it. So I'm going to work with what I've got.
And the Fed cannot print oil, although Trump will order them to try. Right? And that's why at the end of the day, you need metals, folks. Consider metals. Let me give out the website again. Of course, it's Battalion Metals. You can reach them through Metals with Mike. That's our affiliate link. Thank you for using that. If you want to get metals, Tucker Carlson is the co-founder, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. Mm-hmm. And Tucker, in the interest of time here, I just want to give you the opportunity to cover or mention anything else that we have failed to ask you that's on your mind that's important.
Well, what's important is that I remember two phrases, which I'm repeating to myself to try to remember them, because I am a great stealer of phrases. The first is the Islamic Republic of Japan, and the second is the Fed cannot print oil. Those are just too good. And I'm going to use those shamelessly going forward.
Well, I stole the
and
first
I'm never
one
going to
from
give you
Trump,
credit for it.
But that was a Trump faux pas.
No.
Yes, he said the Islamic Republic of Japan. That was 2 days. It was like 2 days ago. And of course, my friend Michael Yan, who lives in Japan right now, he sent me this AI-generated image of Japanese women now with an Islamic flag replacing the flag of Japan. It's like, it's happening. It's happening.
So crazy.
It's crazy.
So good. Okay. Well, I'm stealing it. That is
steal it.
Amazing.
But yeah, you can't print oil. We are all going to have to face reality. And that's why I think, again, financially and in terms of assets, it's so critical for people to consider gold and silver as really an insurance policy. It doesn't have to earn anything, but it's going to still be there no matter what happens in the world.
Well, here's the other thing.
One of the things that may happen is confiscatory death taxes. So like maybe you work in this, maybe you love your children more than you love the government, and maybe you want to pass something to them without other people getting in your business or stealing it. And maybe there's literally no way to do that except through precious metals. Is there? Yep. Can you think of one? Because I can't.
Gold is money that doesn't need a software update, a password reset, or a diversity seminar, folks.
Or permission. It doesn't need permission.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's actually along those lines, Tucker. I've said before that Trump isn't at war with Iran. Trump is at war with the table of elements. because
Exactly.
we talk about gold and silver, they're on the table, but also sulfur, also helium. These are elements.
Exactly.
Without these elements, and hydrocarbons are molecules made of elements, and it's like you're trying to fight the laws of physics. We talked about geography. He's fighting geography, trying to bomb away a strait. You can't, it doesn't work. But he's at war with the table of elements. It's like being at war with God. Really.
Well, but it is being at war with God. And so much, well, not even so much, 100% of the ways that people destroy themselves are related to that exact principle. You have to acknowledge reality. You did not create yourself or the world. You don't get to choose how you exit it. Like we have way less control than we imagine. And the process of staying sane and mature and wise as you get older is reminding yourself of that. I'm not in charge, actually.
Yes.
I can only make good decisions, the best decisions I can make with the ever-present knowledge. I'll probably go wrong from time to time because I'm human. But the second you overstate your powers, you doom yourself to an ignominious destruction every single time. That's the story of human history. There's no other story.
Right.
If you mistake yourself for God, you're smote down in a way that embarrasses your children every single time.
Every time.
Well, clearly you haven't met the Zimbabwe leaders yet who created the $50
Actually,
billion.
I was with the president of Zimbabwe this winter in the Middle East. I ran into him and I was talking to him, and his nickname is the Crocodile. And I can honestly say he was every bit as loathsome as I had imagined.
Wow.
And typically when you meet, I've met the, Rocket Man, Kim Jong-un in North Korea, and he seemed like a pretty interesting guy, actually. I didn't hate him. But the president of Zimbabwe was absolutely repulsive.
Wow.
So it was sort of nice to see someone live down to the stereotype.
Hey, Tucker, I have just two final questions from me. Which is more honest? A used car salesperson, a gold IRA markup guy, or a senator explaining why another war is for democracy?
Or a drug-addicted stripper. Right?
Trick question, yeah.
You're right. So the question is, who's going to give you the self-righteous moral lecture as he's raping interns? And really only the senator is going to do that.
Okay.
So that's always the tell. It's not just that you're lying to me, which I think is pretty common in this life. And I've told lies, by the way, I'm ashamed to say. All of us do. It's whether you accompany those lies with self-righteousness and dare to lecture the person you're lying to about lying. If you do that, you are evil. That is actually the mark of evil, because it's attacking the person you're harming. It's enough that you're harming me by lying to me. Do you really need to lecture me too? And they do. They can't help themselves. So that's the group I'm against. It's the used car salesman. I can easily imagine having an excellent lunch with a used car salesman or a drug addicted stripper for that matter.
There you go.
But never with Tom Cotton.
It's like Marco Rubio lecturing the world about international law. Right? It's like, come on, man, give me a break.
Hilarious. Didn't you just steal a country's oil and hand out the concessions to your donors?
Right. It's like,
you just did that.
We're pirates. We took your oil, but you have to obey the law, damn it. It's like, I can't
Our
stop
sacred
laughing.
norms.
I feel like it should be a Muppets show. Like we need the Marco Rubio Muppet over here.
They can't hear themselves. It's so
Oh my
crazy.
God. Well, look, Tucker, in the interest of time, respecting your time, we're going to thank you for your hour here. It's been a great joy. Thank you so much for joining us.
wonderful.
We really had a great time.
It has been a joy. Thank you. The Fed can't print oil. That's the best. Thank you, guys. That was really fun.
Thank you, Tucker.
Thank you,
Be
Tucker.
well. We'll talk again soon. Take care. And for all of
See
you
ya.
watching, thank you, Tucker. Wow, what a great guest there. And we'll be back after this break with the after party, so stay with us. Join the official discussion channel for this show on Telegram at t.me/decentralizedtv, where you can ask questions or offer suggestions of who we should interview next. Also be sure to subscribe to the email newsletter on decentralized.tv, where you'll be alerted about 1 day in advance of each new upcoming episode, before it gets published. On Decentralized.tv, you'll also find links to our video channels and social media channels across all platforms, including Brighteon, Rumble, BitChute, Twitter, Truth Social, and more. Check it all out at decentralize.tv. All right, welcome back to the after party, folks. Wow, Todd, that was a really fun and also informative conversation with one of the greatest journalists in America, I would say.
That was I mean, what an amazing guest, right? I mean, I love, you and I talked off air real quickly. He's a joyful human being, you know?
Yes.
A principled, joyful human being. And you learn a lot from him. And I just love the fact that we laughed, you know?
I know. Well, we have to. And that's what I love about Tucker is he's so authentic, you know?
Right.
And
great word.
The thing is, you know, he said he was 57, right? So he's very similar to my age. You're a couple of years older, but we're all roughly the same age.
Yeah.
We grew up as children in the 1970s and then teenagers in the 1980s. And thank God it was all before social media and before the internet, right?
Yeah,
because,
thank God.
You know, what a curse that is for today's youth to have to deal with all those pressures on top of everything else. But I think, I tend to think that a lot of people that grew up in the 70s and 80s really they're more in touch with reality because that's all we had back then.
Definitely. Yeah.
We played in the sandbox, you know, or we built a swing or a treehouse for real, not a virtual farm on a video game, you know?
Exactly. We actually broke our wrists when we tried to play Evel Knievel.
Yeah, we did. We broke stuff. Yeah, that's true. And we built stuff. But that really comes across with Tucker. I mean, he's a very practical person, and he's humble. He's not egoistic. He's not full of himself. He's not trying to claim that he knows everything.
No,
thank God, because that gets very tiring.
I really appreciated his being open about the fact that 2008, you know, his world was turned upside down like many of us.
Yes,
you know, and it is so true. It's like. You know, the company I worked for forever, the founders are billionaires with a B, right? And as he was talking, I'm just thinking about, you know, they have a place in Manhattan and then on the Southamptons and such. But you know what also comes with that, Mike? Staff. Right.
Right.
And the patent place that goes along with that, right? So the more money that you have, it's like the more you are adding complications to your life.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, who needs it? My God, who needs it?
Yeah, no kidding.
So
I mean, I love how we got into the conversation about what is the definition of real wealth. And, you know, I talk about natural abundance. I talk about how abundance is a law of the universe.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is actually part of my sort of faith-based teachings is natural abundance. And that scarcity is something that's created by man to control us and to push us into fear.
Yeah.
You know, scarcity is artificial. There's no limit of wealth. There's only a limit of these very narrow definitions of wealth that are pressed upon the people by the media and the establishment and the dollar system and everything and peer pressure, like you were just saying. I mean, I feel like being able to walk out in the forest, I'm wealthier than a billionaire who lives in a high-rise apartment that doesn't even have a walking path.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. I think I've shared this before, but kind of my three edicts in life now are want what you have, live life locally, meaning get out in your backyard, go for a walk, notice 3 things a day that you've never noticed before in your life. It could be, you know, a newly fresh planted flower bed by a neighbor. Just admire and enjoy that. And the other one, of course, is just shut off your TV.
Yeah, right. And you have this amazing backyard with your food forest and all the raccoons and the deer and the animals that you greet on a regular basis because you have this extra large yard in a housing suburb, I guess. I don't know what you call it. Housing development. You have this extra large yard. And so you've turned that into a very abundant place, abundant food, abundant nutrition, abundant life and animals and so on. So we're doing the same thing.
Absolutely. And don't tell anyone this, Mike, but behind me. It's just the fact that when we bought our home, we back up to this protected area that's like 30 acres, right, of our backyard. And so I have been with my massive weed eater. I have my trails now are about a mile long back there. Nobody knows about them.
Oh, wow. Really?
I'm just, so that I can just go walk in August through my back forest.
That's
right?
great.
And it's just possession is 9/10 of the law, you know?
Yeah, I love it. So is it a natural like water drain zone that they can never develop into homes or something?
They can never develop it.
That's
ever.
great.
That's why we fell in love with this specific, spot. Is it just plays so big, but yet, we're part of a gated community. It's a very nice neighborhood, but my back property is just like insane, just because I've been, slowly encroaching and turning it into Pittner Park. And
Pittner Park, I like it. That's great. All right, well, getting back to Tucker, didn't you find it fascinating, his story about choosing a gold company or partnering with Battalion Metals? Because he ran into the same thing that we ran into, which is all these scammers out there that are basically stealing the retirement money from elderly people.
It's just so sad. I mean, those are the people that are just, it's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
And I mean, I deal with a lot of these folks, Mike, with my575e.com and the UNAs, right?
Right.
So these are people that you could so easily take advantage of, right? And I had a consultation yesterday to where as a lovely couple, they were in their 70s, early 70s. And as I was talking to them, I'm like, look, I don't see the ROI here for you. I wouldn't feel right you moving forward with a UNA just because you don't have the use cases. I mean, you get retirement, Social Security. It's just there's not any real benefit for you, and that's based upon an assessment of about a half hour talking with these people. But I think about the people who Tucker exposed, and it's those people who are like, they should have thought like that. Yeah. I mean, how horrible is it to steal from the elderly?
Well, and Tucker named names. He named Glenn Beck.
Yes.
And Sean Hannity.
Yep.
And I forgot else.
Mark Levin.
Mark Levin.
Yep.
He said that Candace, once she became aware of it, she halted any. Right. So Candace showed good ethical behavior there, which is not surprising. But he named names. And to my knowledge, I don't think that Glenn Beck has stopped working with those companies, although there has been a giant bankruptcy of Rosalind. Just went bankrupt. And Tucker mentioned that. To my knowledge, I think people who thought they had gold and silver with Rosalind, they've lost tens of millions of dollars.
That's so sad.
Right.
Just so sad.
Because Rosalind was doing, my understanding is kind of like a Ponzi scheme where they were filling the older orders with new money coming in from new orders, but they had this gap, obviously, because they declared bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so critical to work with a company that is trustworthy, that has a history, even a multi-generational history of ethics and philosophical ethics.
Right.
Like I saw Chris Olson from Battalion Metals at the Ron Paul birthday party.
Yeah.
He was there because that's his philosophy.
Is he really 6'9"?
He's very tall.
Wow.
He is unmistakable.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's tall.
And he's got a big beard that's often braided, and
that's so cool.
And he's got a thin build. So you can't miss him.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. But he's also really sharp. I mean, he's so dedicated to this. And he's also, in private conversations I've had with Chris, internally, he's also pretty pissed off at the shysters out there that are doing the scamming.
Yeah.
As we all are. And we wish there were a way to stop them. And that's, to Tucker's credit, he exposed them publicly. Yep. He named names.
Good.
And I don't think that any of them have sued him because they have no case.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm all for Tucker and his third party, and when he starts his third party, I just suggest that the official mascot simply be a normal American dad staring at a grocery receipt in disbelief, Mike.
Well, by the way, we didn't technically ask him about a third party because that wasn't the focus of our talk today. But I would say if he decides to start a third party, I think it would be incredibly popular. I think it would get instant traction.
I do too.
Yes.
Because he would build the first honest party, I believe.
It would be like the anti-corruption party.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I mean, I'm just
kind of everything that Trump said that he was going to create. You know what I mean? Before he just did a Taco Tuesday on his whole campaign speeches, Yeah,
I would love to see a party launch in this country that would attempt to keep the other two parties honest, because number one, we don't want to mutilate the genitalia of children with transgenderism. And also on the other side, we don't want masked government ICE agents shooting Americans on the streets of Minneapolis.
Nope.
Right? I mean, I think we can agree on these, at least we can start with these two things. And corruption needs to go, and whoever we elect to represent us needs to, represent us, not some foreign land.
Exactly.
I mean, what an idea,
America first. Huh.
Yeah, that was a great question.
Crazy idea. Should include some Americans.
Yeah, right. The thing is that the Democrats on the far left and what Trump is doing on the far right are so insane that they've carved out this great middle ground that's kind of like a low-hanging fruit.
It is.
Or like a target-rich environment in a positive way. Like, all you got to do is be normal, and you can be very popular.
Yeah, you have to be, maybe somebody who has a mindset to where you're going to invest in real money, gold. Maybe you're going to have a mindset to where you might want to invest and raise some chickens. Or, just as long as you don't watch cable news, I think that's the party, Mike.
Yeah.
Chickens, gold, and no cable news.
Well, there you go. That's you just described my ranch.
I know.
Pretty much.
And a pond.
Yeah, and a pond. And a couple of goats. Couple of ornery goats. They're having fun this morning, bouncing around and everything. Hey, you mentioned my 575E. Let me just bring that up because I think that's highly relevant here.
Very.
When people do own gold and silver, at some point they may want to cash it in to buy something.
That's correct.
A car, a home, a business, solar infrastructure. There are rational reasons to sell your gold and buy a solar system.
Sure.
Right? So you can get off the grid.
But preferably not at a 28% capital gains tax.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So and that's what these UNAs solve for. I can't go into great detail here on the show, but I'm just telling you that the difference between someone having a UNA and not having a UNA, if you are liquidating your precious metals, is going to be about 28%.
That makes sense. Well, let me give out the website here again.
Sure.
It's my575e.com. And go ahead and walk us through that. What steps do people take to learn more?
Yeah, if they just click on that Let's Go right there, Mike.
Yeah, got it.
Then they can go, they enter their name and their email address, and that will get you on an email list, which about every 3 to 4 weeks, I will send out a very detailed email that's very educational about how this structure works. But more than that, it gets you to the next page within the site to where you can watch a 90-minute interview of Dennis Gray, where I interviewed Dennis. He is an 83-year-old gentleman who's been at this for 40 years, helping people acquire these. And it's very, very important that you watch that interview. And then there is a downloadable PDF that talks about the 32 positive attributes of operating a UNA, a California established UNA. That's very important. So I think most people, when they get to that level, they're going to identify multiple use cases where a UNA can benefit them greatly. But at that time, a lot of people have questions, Mike. So as you know, I make myself available. People on that same page where I interview Dennis, if you scroll down a little bit, you can book a consultation with me. And then we can talk about your own operating reality. And most people, Mike, who get to that level proceed with the UNA. And I will tell everybody it is $150 to have a private consultation with me, but you get it back if you move forward with the UNA. And like I said, most people do. You just deduct it from the investment. The only reason why I charge anything is when I didn't, people don't show up for the Zoom meeting. So that's where I think people's journey can begin. But we have now 700 people who I've helped over the last 3 years, and we have a private Telegram group of almost as many. And it's just such a great community. It's an organic community of like-minded people. And I can tell you, Mike, most of the people in that private Telegram group love them some precious metals.
Oh, yeah. And I would also like to add, I think it's so amazing how you and those 700 people have built up a knowledge base, a body of how-to information to solve all the major challenges, like, oh, how do I open a bank account with this? Well, it turns out it's very easy. Or how do I transfer a home? How do I transfer the title with the county recorder's office? Well, that's also step by step. It's very simple.
Yeah, it's one of those things I tell people, if you can identify one use case, like if you're a W-2 earner, 1099 earner, if you operate an LLC, if you own property, if you trade in crypto, if you stack gold, if you have children, all of that, Mike, identify one use case, acquire a UNA, and then that gets you into the private Telegram group where we have it's called a UNA Biz Directory, which is kind of like a digital ebook. You want to know how UNAs behave with cryptocurrency? Go to the C chapter, click on cryptocurrency, and it will unpack all of the relevant messages. If I have pinned a message, I have a guy, Ryan, in there who knows where to categorize it. So it's this repository. I've been at it for 3 years now, Mike. So there's probably 1,000, if not more, pinned messages in there, but they're all organized so well. So, you aren't alone when you acquire your UNA.
You know who needs a UNA for crypto? It would be Trump, because apparently he made $3.8 billion with all these rug pulls.
But Mike, hand over heart, he's not taking a dime for running this country. He's given up that $400,000 per year.
That's right. He's not taking a salary
for $4 billion, and how much has his family made? I mean, my goodness, he has made more money than any human being from buying the dip because of his Taco Tuesdays. Right?
Yeah. The insider trading factor is off the charts, but sure is convenient that he can order his DOJ to issue a letter that says no DOJ can ever prosecute Trump family members for any financial crimes forevermore. It's like the ultimate pardon pack.
It's a pardon pack.
It is. It's like a get out of jail free forever, over and over again, reusable cards. It's like, wow, isn't that kind of just a license to commit financial crimes?
That's kind of what he self-custodies, really? Mike.
Yeah, that's just...
He self-custodies, personal crimes.
So I guess if you bought the Trump coin, you don't need a UNA because your coin's worth almost zero.
It's worth zero. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's funny, Mike. I was going into this interview and I'm like, if this interview goes well, we'll either get, some viral clips and moments out of it, which I think we will, or we're going to get a visit from 3 agencies wearing sunglasses.
That may still happen. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Right. No, he was fantastic. Well, I really hope we can get him back on again at some point in time, Mike. I mean,
oh yeah. Look, his schedule is super busy, and even we are booked out a couple of months, by the way. So it'll happen again. Maybe. Maybe before the end of the year or sometime in 2027. But I'm just glad to know that Tucker is out there doing what he's doing. Makes me have a little more faith in humanity, frankly. Yeah. Because it can be kind of lonely to operate the way that you and I do, Todd, which is we operate with ethics and integrity. We treat people right. We're not out to scam people. We're out to help people avoid getting scammed. and to protect
Right.
what they have.
Yep.
And there are genuinely not that many people, not that many podcasters, not that many influencers who do the right thing when it costs you, lost opportunity of revenue to do the right
Sure.
thing. Almost everybody chooses the money over the principles,
That's true.
but not Tucker and not us.
Nope. Yeah. Well, what a great show, Mike.
Yeah.
How did the holiday go? The fourth holiday, did people buy lots of food?
Oh, for our store?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a sale. It went very well. We had a good outpouring. I mean, look, and Todd's referring to healthrangerstore.com, of course. But here's what's fascinating. When the war with Iran started in March, I ordered my staff because I knew what was happening with the fertilizer. So I ordered my staff to buy up all the food that you could possibly find. So we manufactured, our long-term storable, organic, lab-tested food buckets and freeze-dried foods and the number 10 cans for storage and the superfoods and everything. So we for the last few months, we have been manufacturing like crazy. And sure enough, we have just about filled the warehouse as of right now. Now, so we have actually manufactured much more than what our normal sales volume would handle. But I've done this on purpose because I know what's coming.
Exactly.
And the smart people are buying food from us today at the prices, today's prices.
Right. Exactly.
2026 prices, pre-famine pricing, basically, right? And you sure don't want to end up paying the post-famine pricing that's coming in 2027.
Right.
So I'm very happy with where we are. We've got a warehouse full. We're able to serve all of our customers who want food right now, and we're going to have a pretty good supply chain, unless there's just a total outright panic, which could wipe us out. But barring that, we're going to be good for the rest of the year and into 2027. But
that's awesome.
That's only because I sounded the alarm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy, I guess we got to wrap this up, don't we? I didn't realize time is flying by.
Everybody should know that our producers have done such a good job getting guests that Mike and I are now doing 3 to 4 of these interviews a week. So we have another interview right on the heels of this.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. And there are just behind the scenes, there are lots of people who want to get on the show. Yep. And our answer, it just depends on whether we think they're a valuable guest.
Yep.
It's not.
And now the good news is we do have our other category, which is down the rabbit hole.
True.
Which may not be perfectly about decentralization or decentralized living, but interesting guests.
Absolutely.
So,
and I still say I love having Randall Carlson on the show.
Yeah.
He is just one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He's so brilliant.
He's brilliant.
And he's a living encyclopedia of geological knowledge and so much more. I mean, astrophysics as well. I mean, so many things. Just what a brilliant mind. And I can't wait to have him back on the show. But we have a lot of other amazing guests coming up in the meantime.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yep.
This is fun, Mike. Who'd have thunk it 3 years ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, I should mention, I have my producer reach out to a number of companies that are working on inventions.
Right.
That I want to show. I want to interview them and showcase those inventions. And their answer is, yes, we'd love to come on, but we're 6 months away before we have a demonstration version that we can even show.
I gotcha.
So we're actually sort of pre-booking opportunities for 2027. Also.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
And so everyone watching, thank you. Seriously.
Thank you
our
all.
Viewers.
And be sure to check out all the other episodes at decentralize.tv. And thank you for watching today. For myself and Todd Pittner, we appreciate you. Thank you for all your support and hope you enjoyed our great guest today, Tucker Carlson. Visit his website at tuckercarlson.com. And by the way, also on battalionmetals.com, if you scroll down, here's the great gold scam video from Tucker Carlson right here. This is on the Battalion Metals website that you can get to. metalswithmike.com. So if you want to watch that episode, it's right here that we were talking about during the interview.
Wow. I haven't seen that. I'm going to watch that.
Oh, you should watch it. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Todd. We'll talk again
Mike.
soon.
Cheers.
Have a great day. Thanks, everybody. See ya. Right now, more than ever, it's critical to eliminate counterparty risk. That's my belief. And don't take this as financial advice because I'm not your financial advisor. But when you want physical gold and silver in your hands or vaulted, professionally vaulted, insured, high security vault, etc., that eliminates that counterparty risk, which I think is an extreme risk right now. I think banks are going to fail and we're going to have bank bail-ins. The currency is failing every day, kind of little by little because of all the money printing and the valuation erosion that's accelerating. Also because of what's happening in the Middle East, more and more countries are agreeing to sell oil in currencies other than the dollar. And the only way that treasury yields are kept low is by the Fed printing money and buying our own debt because there aren't enough international buyers to buy our debt anymore. So our country's like a snake eating its own tail financially. It's buying its own debt, and this is going to end badly. And when it does, in my opinion, those who hold dollars, even in bank accounts or in the stock market or whatever, they're going to be devastated by the losses. Gold and silver are the best way, in my opinion, to preserve your assets and make it through the coming storm. And the best place to get gold and silver is a company I've been working with, the original founders of the group, for 6 or 7 years now. Today it's called Battalion Metals, and you can reach them at metalswithmike.com. And the reason it's called Battalion Metals now is because they did a joint venture with Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson is the co-founder of Battalion Metals. It's the same group I've worked with for years. And let me tell you about these people. They are pro-freedom, pro-liberty, pro-Ron Paul type of people. They respect your privacy. They understand the importance of your security, your privacy, and the importance of giving you gold and silver at the best possible competitive prices. So there's no bait and switch. There's no, rigging. There's no weird coins like, here, have this 1.5 ounce thing that nobody knows what it is. They don't play games. Otherwise, I wouldn't promote them. This is the same company, metalswithmike.com. Battalion Metals. This is the same group that I recommend to my family, to my friends, and that I use myself. And I stack gold and silver every month, just a certain amount every month, and I have it vaulted with their vaults because I know I can trust them because they're professionals. They're high integrity people. They're not fly by night. They are the kind of people that you can trust. Again, otherwise I wouldn't even be associated with them. So when you want to get gold and silver in your hands and eliminate that counterparty risk, this is the way to do it. Just go to metalswithmike.com. You can see the prices right there online in real time at Battalion Metals, or you can schedule a call with them. Just use this button right here, schedule a call. And they are trustworthy, high integrity, knowledgeable people who can help you devise a strategy that's suitable for you. Just remember, I'm not your financial advisor. I can't give you an investment strategy personalized for you. You need to do that yourself with your own advisors. You can talk with Battalion Metals and they can help give you a lot of information and some planning as well. But make the best decision for you. And you're going to make it through this. You'll make it through the storm, even as other people lose the value of their dollars or their other investments. Gold and silver will make it through. And right now, in my opinion, gold and silver are still at an incredible buying opportunity in terms of price compared to where they're going to be represented in dollars in the near future. That's my opinion. Do your own research. Do what's best for you. And check it all out at metalswithmike.com. So thanks for watching. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. God bless you all. Take care.